Heyo! Welcome to another episode of the Best Friends Discuss podcast with your host Mike and
Brad.
We figure we would do a little bit of a shorter one than anything. Kind of rapid fire through a couple of things because this will either be a long or this may be like an extra episode we release during the week, or it just will come out the usual time on Sundays. So, I found a couple of writing prompts, and one of them is less serious than I wanted, but I love to think about it. So I told you to hit record. I would read it to you. We would discuss it. So the writing prompt is: the year is 1910. Adolf Hitler, a struggling artist, has fought off dozens of assassination attempts by well-meaning time travelers. So people are traveling back in time to try to kill him. I like that. I didn't catch that the first time I read that. But this one is different. This traveler doesn't want to kill Hitler. He wants to teach him to paint. He pulls off his hood to reveal the frizzy afro of Bob Ross.
Fucking Christ.
I love this prompt so much. I was like, that's hilarious. Brad, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my god.
What
I mean, no, grab your brush there, Adolf, and draw a happy swastika. Just a happy one. Just.
Look at those lines. What a happy little swastika. Oh my god. Hold on. There's a comment. Continuing, or because it's a writing prompt, you're supposed to leave your theme. So I'll read this guy's. There he sat, twirling his personal, stylized mustache. It was avant-garde, just like he wanted to be. The man as he was just wanted a place in this world for his art. He continues to stare at the easel, thinking. After a while, he felt a firm, calming hand on his shoulder. He sighed, hanging his head wearily. Wearily? Are you yet another man come to end my life? If you can even see it that way, the hand didn't answer, as it had no mouth. However, its owner did. All right. Speaking the soft tones that had come to make him famous. No, sir. I've seen too much death and war to want to do another such thing. Instead, I have come as a tutor. Here, grab that 2-inch brush and dip it in some titanium white and Prussian blue. Hitler did such a thing, and the man behind him nodded. Good. Now mix them together until you have a rather nice pale blue. Adolf did so, brush strokes trembling across the palette. Easy there, Tiger. Easy there, Tiger. Easy there, Tiger. Oh. Try to keep yourself calm now. Painting is all about being steady, confident. Adolf nodded again, and went this time a bit slower, and mixed another selection. After he had done this, the stranger patted his shoulder. Good. Now let's see you paint a nice open sky. But how? I can barely paint the ground, let alone what lies above it. What lies above it? What lies above the ground? That doesn't... Sir, you don't make sense. Sighing, the man grabbed a firm hold of his arm and lifted it up. This is turning into some real like ghost Patrick Swayze pottery scene. All you have to do is nice tiny X's like so. A portion. The top left-hand corner was soon filled with a nice layer of blue. Now go ahead, try it. Adolf sighed and attempted this, and to his surprise, mimicked the man's strokes almost perfectly. Ah, there we go. Now wash that brush off in your water and beat the devil out of it. By the way, this reminds me. Apparently, like there's like clips of Bob Ross saying stuff like he's in a unhappy relationship with his wife or something like that. I don't know the real wording, but it kind of gets dark sometimes, Brad. All right, let me take that again. There you go. Now, wash that brush off in your water and beat the devil out of it on your wood there. Jesus. Calm down, Brad. Calm down. Don't break character, Brad. At this point, Adolf couldn't help but turn around in surprise. You want me to beat my easel with it? Keep it together. Focus. Center yourself. All right. The afro figure behind him nodded, pulling off his woolen hood. Yes, sir, I do. Go on. It won't hurt it. Tell me who you are first, then maybe I will. The figure smiled a bright smile as a scroll popped out of his hair. Why, I'm Bob Ross. And I heard you wanted to be a painter. Just popping in to say thank you. But that was it. That was it. How did you like that, Brad?
I don't... Speechless. I am speechless.
Oh, that was fun. There's one comment that is like trying to sell Adolf Hitler as a painter. It says now revised Hitler now with new revised Hitler now with 100% less genocide, comes free with easel, brush set, and absolutely no intention of deleting an entire subset of the human race. Get yours today. Oh my gosh, this beat the devil out of it made me. Oh my god, it's so great. So yeah, what did you think about that? I'm so glad I clicked on that. That was so much fun.
Wow.
Do you have anything to add to this, Brad? Like, do you want to come up with a story behind this, or just move on? Because honestly, I thought that was a lot of fun.
I mean, I could come up with a story to that.
Okay, go for it.
But I would need some time, like to make it sound very nice. Very nice.
How about this? We'll revisit it if you want to think about it. We'll go to another story of a writing prompt. Okay. This is one we'll make a story of, or a little short story. When you die, you appear in a cinema with a number of other people who look like you. You find out that they are your previous reincarnations, and soon you will all begin watching your next life on the big screen. This one blew my mind. I was like, dude, how cool would it be to see that? What do you think, Brad?
They're all you, though.
Right. But it's different, used from different timelines.
But then it's not you.
But it's like you. Reincarnation works in an interesting way, Brad. You die, and you come back as somebody else.
I get that.
But what happens, because usually when you die, because often people say, you know, that bright light you see when you die is actually your next life continuing. Basically, you being born.
Yeah.
So it's a circle. It's a circle.
It's a circle.
It's a circle. But that's what it is. And so what happened? But obviously we don't remember, you know, what we were in a past life. And so they're saying, what happens if you do, in a way where you kind of just be like, you could sit down, you could see somebody that looks just like you, but they only speak Spanish, and you just have to just go, oh, I guess at one point I spoke Spanish. But just to witness.
Like, great, I hope this one has subtitles.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an interesting concept of just being like, I get to sit down with people that I apparently have already been before. Maybe I could strike up a conversation / I get to watch the, like, I'm picturing like there's a theater where you can watch if you want to, or you could be in the lobby talking to some of the people you've already been, and you get pass around stories like that. Like, could you imagine being like a conquistador, and then being a cowboy, a Wild West, Wild West? We were both going to the same thing, but I think this is kind of an interesting idea to see what you've been, especially since with reincarnation, you can be, it doesn't have to be like a different person. You can be an animal. So could you sit down and be right next to like a frog?
But then it wouldn't look like you.
I mean, or it could be like Rick and Morty when he turns into a pickle and is,
Oh, jeez, Rick.
I'm Pickle Rick. You know, like it could be like that. Like it could just have
It's a
your
frog
face.
with a goatee.
Exactly. Yeah. Why couldn't it be? This is our story, Brad, that we're constructing together to make a cohesive thing. What do you think? I feel like you're not down for this.
I do not like this one.
You don't?
I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Let's talk about it just a little bit. Why don't you like it? Do you just are not a fan of the reincarnation thing, or you're not a fan of the whole like
Doesn't
premise?
it? I don't know. I guess for me, it's like it's breaking the whole reincarnation thing.
Mhm.
Because even if you're reincarnated, it's still you. You would never have that time to stop and watch a movie of yourself, along with 30 other people that are just like you, but
Well-
apparently are you. So, do you have all the thoughts of them?
No.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm like, that's
Okay.
not reincarnation at that point.
So it's an afterlife thing. It's not like it's happening in current time.
I get that, but
Right. So, and they're not you. Well, they are you, but it's from a different time. So you wouldn't have their thoughts.
I get that. But see, that's where it breaks the whole reincarnation thing at that point. It's not reincarnation. You're watching somebody else's life.
Yeah, you're watching somebody else's life because you are that person.
You're not that person.
No. The
You're in a
soul,
movie theater.
The soul of you. Like it's like if they were just husks of people, and the soul of you, but like that. But every time you get reincarnated,
A piece of you breaks off.
a piece of your soul breaks off. But we can't quantify how big a soul is or what you can do with it. But imagine this, Brad. Okay, Brad, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. That, it's like a factory system where, until you put the batteries in a toy, it's not going to do anything. So there could be a factory system of like, these are all the old toys that like the batteries are corrupted, the batteries are corroded, they're just dead batteries. And those are the ones that go to the movie theater. And then you have a new set of batteries going into the next toy, and that one's turning on. That's the one that is on screen getting filmed, right? But then after that, there's a factory of just toys that don't have batteries. Until this one dies, it's an assembly line. But it's just pieces of the soul staying with said person. So you're not sharing the memories because you didn't live vicariously through them. I feel like you're not getting it, man, and I'm upset. I thought it was
Now,
a cool
honestly, I think you brought up a better point.
What?
Which is, you have a few of you out at the lobby. So, you're in there watching Your Next Life, and you're like, this is boring as shit. And then you just leave.
Right. You just leave, and you can then have conversations with people that share the same soul of you, and you can just have conversations like, how was it being a conquistador? And it's like, it was kind of boring, honestly. How is it being in the 21st century? And it's like, it was boring. Just life is boring, I guess. But okay, how about this? I kind of want to, because you're not feeling this topic, so I kind of wanted to change it a bit, reconstruct it a bit. So say you're in like purgatory or like not, or like where's the in between, right? You're in the in between world, right? With others in the same situation as yourself. And what you are doing is sitting down in a movie theater, rewatching your life. And you can change it from first person to third person. So like if you wanted to see, it from a different angle, you can. You could rotate it. You can interact with it. The only thing that can't change is the
Events.
that happen. It's very set in stone already because you're dead. In a spoiler alert. The ending of the movie is you'll see it coming. Unless you got hit by a truck, then you probably didn't see that coming. but you probably didn't see the gunman. Okay. But you kind of see how it goes, right? But here's a little caveat that I want to throw in is that you can see, like, if you have a conversation with a person and you leave that person, you can stay and listen to their conversation and see their point of view or what transpired after said events, kind of thing. So you kind of get the full story, right? So like if I'm like, dude, you should not go to your house tonight and you should instead come to the bar with me, and then I didn't take that advice and I ended up going home and there was a killer in the house. But just so you kind of get the perspective of what the other person went through, so you get the full story, right? Do you have an example, Brad?
I do not have an example, but I had a different segue of way that you could do this.
Okay.
From your example there of where you're watching your life and you can change the perspectives. What if in the in-between you were told to sit down and watch this so you could understand why you were either going to go to heaven or hell?
Ooh.
And so you're watching it and everything else, but you plot twisted at the end, and so you got murdered.
Okay. That's a
and
great
you
idea.
you decide, instead of going to heaven or hell, to just run out of the theater so you could go what do you call it, be a ghost and poltergeist that sumbitch.
Ooh, and haunt them?
Yeah, you haunt their ass. Like, that's your choice, heaven or hell, but you didn't take either one of those. That would be fun.
That would be cool. That's a great idea, Brad. Because I also thought of, to expand on yours, was the fact of, like, what happens if you're watching from different perspectives and you do get kind of like murdered in the story and you're trying to solve your own murder.
Yeah.
That would be also like a cool twist. And then you can, like, you have like a phone that you call the one person you trust to help solve your murder, a person who is a physical being solving your murder while you are not around. We may have to revisit this. I like this idea.
Yeah. Even if you wanted to take it like fully on, like a drama type story, you could still do that too, where if you had to watch to understand why you're going to heaven or hell, but because you could change the perspectives and like watch a few other people's, you start arguing on why it should be the other way.
Yeah. And there's like a panel of judges that are like thumb up, thumb down kind of thing.
There's multiple ways we could take that one.
Oh, absolutely.
That's so much better than the whole reincarnation bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
no, it is.
Yeah.
We're much better at this.
I like our idea better, but I also truly like their idea of stuff.
Their
but
shit.
Okay. So another thing, another thought I had with this was you can watch your perspective and other people's perspective, but then you can change it. Like in the story, you can change it and see how the situation would have gone, but it never did. It's like the Netflix show Bandersnatch, where you can choose your own ending, but no matter what, your said outcome has already happened, but you could see
what could have happened.
What could have been. Yeah, I like this. This was a good idea. On to the next one?
On to the next one.
Okay. It's 3 a.m. An official phone alert wakes you up, like the Amber Alert noise thing. And it says, do not look at the moon. You have hundreds of notifications. Hundreds of random numbers are sending. It's a beautiful night tonight. Look outside. What do you think, Brad?
You fucking look outside.
Really? Really? You look outside?
You look outside.
Oh my god! Wow. So you would look out. You would look outside, look at the moon, even though it says "do not look at the moon." But you have people telling you to look at the moon.
You can't trust the government, man.
You can't trust the government. Here's my problem with it, Brad. Is you have one person saying, do not do this thing. Yeah. And then you have a bunch of people getting a hold of you saying, do this thing. What's the negative thing of not looking then?
Not knowing what's coming?
Not knowing what's coming. Okay, then what's the negative thing about looking?
To figure out what's coming?
Unless it's a trap. Unless the moon
It's
is
a
like
trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. It's unless it's a trap like brainwashing, Brad. That's where I'm going. Like you look at the moon and then all of a sudden you're like a brainwashed zombie and you're contacting all the people you know. Telling
I
you to
wouldn't
look.
flat out just like look at it.
You would like side eye it, side-eye glance it.
I'd probably like break the bathroom mirror and try to, through the mirror. That way you don't have direct contact.
Would you ask your children to do it instead of you?
See what kind of consequences come from them?
Yeah. So if you're just like, hey, son, go take a look, and he's like, okay, and he goes and takes a look, and he comes back, and he's brainwashed zombie, then you could take him out, right? Or if he comes back and he's fine, then would you go look then? Like, basically, are you willing to sacrifice your kid, like, as a test subject to go do this? Or would you be... Because in hindsight, like, this is sounding very negative, but you have a daughter to think of. So do you sacrifice one of your kids to look at said thing knowing it might be dangerous so you can protect the other one? Because if you go and look and something bad happens to you, like you get sucked up into the moon, who's taking care of your kids? Right then and there. So do you sacrifice one? It's like Bird Box.
It is like Bird Box.
Where you have to choose one kid to look while the other one is in safety. But then she chose the spoiler. She chose that nobody looks. Just saying. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer.
That is one of those moral conundrums.
I'll say.
Sacrifice the one for the good of the many?
Yeah, pretty much. If you want, you can say plead the fifth, and we'll move on.
Shortest straw.
Shortest straw. I gave you an out, and you came right back in. All right, Brad. Okay, how about this? We'll. I mean, I guess you would have the same solution, but if it was you, myself, and Gage, who would you choose to go out and look at the moon? Because you have Gage, who is very he has survival skills, and he's strong. Then you have yourself, who is smart and fast and agile, and then you have me.
You're right. You're gonna go look.
So I'm the sacrifice.
Yes.
All right. That's
Sacrificial lamb.
All right. That's fair. I want to ask Gage this question too, and I wonder who he picks. All right. So, anything you want to say before I get into what this person wrote? All right. You want to read this? I read it a lot. You want to read it?
8 minutes? I think we got a good 8 minutes. All right.
All right. This is Brad reading.
Andrew nearly snarled at his phone. Chimed...
Oh, it's not so easy, is it?
Andrew nearly snarled as his phone chimed for what seemed to be the umpteenth time. His shift at the warehouse ended only a few hours ago, and it like chickens running around with their heads chopped off whenever he left. It was a rare delight to encounter the nights that he was actually permitted to sleep throughout the night. This guy does not know English very well. It is easily a third language.
I'm just saying, it's not that easy.
On top of the texts that were just brimming with simple incompetency, well, you've proved it right there what you need to do at that point. The morons that lit up his phone in the middle of the night always seemed to wake up his wife, Isabel, who suffered from insomnia to begin with. The raise Andrew agreed to that stated he kept his ringer on for these occasions never seemed worth it when he saw Isabel the next day, curled up in the guest room with dark circles under her eyes from her attempts to get away from the constant chiming. Andrew rubbed a hand over eyes to clear them, trying to understand the ridiculous amount of messages, but he must have been more tired than he thought since they didn't make any sense. He quickly scrolled through the message previews, finding they all seemed to follow the same pattern. To look at the moon. The moon? What the? Why? It was like a shot to his adrenaline when he saw that some of his messages were coming from Isabel's phone. He shot up from bed, seeing the other side empty, and jumped to his feet. Hun, what's going on? Andrew questioned, still scrolling through his phone while walking towards the guest room. The room was at the end of the hallway and the door was wide open. He could see Isabel standing in the middle of the room, arms down by her side, and the phone clutched in her hand as she gazed out the window. As he grew closer, he could see that she was shaking. Belle? Honey? What's wrong? Why? Isabel's body whipped towards him and Andrew couldn't help himself. He froze in place. She ran and shoved her body into the door, slamming it shut and locking it in place. The speed was all wrong, though. Andrew had never seen her move that fast. It was insane. It was inhuman. His own body started to tremble when he remembered her eyes. Her pupils were dilated, and not a single bit of the green irises he loved so much were left. She's fucking becoming a werewolf. Or.
Go on.
Okay. He was just about to ram his own body into the door to beg her to let him in and explain what is happening. But then she started sobbing. Andrew, you need to run. You need to hide. I'm sorry. God, I am so sorry, Andrew. Run, and whatever you do, don't look at the moon. Andrew started pounding his fists on the door and tried to shove his weight against it, but she must have blocked it with something. Despite his shouting and his pleading to be let in, his forgotten phone on the hallway floor seemed to crack through the commotion as the alarms of the emergency alert system distracted him for just a moment. The robotic voice started to play from his phone automatically. Warning, this is not a test. This is an emergency alert. Do not look at the moon. Warning, this is not a test. Andrew thought through his distress was at its peak. Nothing was making sense as he just needed to get Isabel so they could deal with this together. He just needed to. Her scream started, and it struck him cold to the very center of his being. He began pounding and kicking at the door until it gave way under his body. Isabel was on the floor, writhing in the moonlight. Andrew couldn't help it. His knees buckled, and he emptied the contents of his stomach right where he stood. Isabel's body was bent at every wrong angle possible, but she wasn't screaming anymore. Her head snapped in the direction that was ungodly speed again. Bathed in the moon's light and pupils still completely dilated, she smiled up at him as if every bone in her body wasn't broken. In the same voice she used to soothe him time after time, she whispered, "Look at the moon, Andrew."
Holy shit. Good God. That took a turn.
Yeah, it did.
Holy crap.
First comment after that, I didn't really need to sleep tonight.
Oh my God, that took a turn. I'm just picturing like a pretzel of a human and then all of a sudden like face looking away from the husband suddenly just and looks at him and it's just everything's all right. Look at the moon. And it's a Bob Ross painting of a moon. That's all the time we have today, Brad. Beat the devil out of you, I tell you what.
Such a pretty moon.
Such a pretty moon.
A happy pretty moon.
A happy pretty moon. Thank you for listening to another Best Friends Discuss podcast. I've been your host, Mike, and
Brad.
This was a fun, impromptu, just quick session of this. So, good job, Brad.
Yeah, good job, Mike.
Shake hands. All right.
Yeah.